you'll find a lot of commonalities. I talked about this when I mentioned like atomic habits and all that. You'll find a lot of commonalities. You'll find that more often than not, you do the action the same time, in the same place, under the same circumstances. If I eat something unhealthy every time I walk in the kitchen, and then I stop walking in the kitchen, I'll stop eating unhealthy things, right? Unhealthy things. That's a very basic example, right? It's not going to be as simple, but you'll find. Oh,
I was about to say it's like the snack drawer, bro. If you stop opening up the snack drawer, you'll stop getting lost in the wonderland.
You'll find more often than not, you're in the same place at the same time under the same conditions, right? Same circumstances. If you are alone in your room at 7 p.m. and you find you're doing this a lot, then don't be alone in your room at 7 p.m., right? Make sure you're actually with people in the gym at 7 p.m. consistently. Then maybe by the time you work out, you've had a long day, you get back, you're too tired to want to do it. Or maybe you want to do it, but you're tired enough to fall asleep so that you don't, right? Do this enough times and eventually you'll have a proper, consistent cycle. Now, it's not easy. It's not easy to be in that state where you're like, you know, I want to do this. Everything in my body's telling me to do this. I've done it every day for the past like 20 years. I want to do it. And then you don't. That's a very difficult thing. And I don't want to undermine how difficult that is. But that's when having a healthy environment, healthy friends, proper outlets, and just a proper structured life is going to come in handy.
I do want to say another thing that's underrated is having more tawakkul in Allah. Of course, right? We should trust that Allah will help us get over and overcome these issues. But taqwa is something extremely underrated, bro. This level of keeping Allah always on your mind 24/7 as much as we can, it prevents us from doing a lot of stuff, bro. And I know a lot of you might be like, oh, why are you talking about that? You know, it's going to put me off of it. No, that's the point. That's the point. Because how many people can think of Allah or think of Islam and everything they've been blessed with and then simultaneously go, you know, most people won't. Most people have fitrah at the end of the day. So being in a state of wudu as much as you can really does help because the wudu is a shield, right? And it brings purity. Another thing you can do is get on deen more. Obviously, these are basic things, but I know a lot of brothers, right, that have told me directly from first-hand experience that going to Umrah or going to Hajj really did change their life.
MashaAllah.
Of course, as it should, right? That's why it's prescribed. And Allah loves those things that are obligatory the most, right? But really seeing the Kaaba, going to the house of Allah, game changer. Like they came back and they're like, I don't smoke weed anymore. They came back, they're like, I don't J off anymore. They came back and there's so many things that are just gone from their life just like that.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah.
SubhanAllah. Yeah, that's very important. There's a hadith, a very famous hadith, where the Prophet ﷺ was with his companions and a strange man came in. This man was actually Jibreel alayhi salam in the form of a man. He asked, what is Iman, what is Islam, and what is Ihsan? And this thing, Ihsan, the Prophet ﷺ, he described it as worshipping Allah as if you can see him and knowing that he could see you. And that, falling in line with what you said about having taqwa, God consciousness.
As if you can't see him.
No, worship Allah as if you can see him, although you can't. Yeah. Like, you know, imagine if you could see Allah, right? You know, may Allah, you know, forgive us, protect us. I'm not trying to say anything like outrageous here. People in Jannah will see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but in this life, we're not meant to, obviously. Imagine if you could, though. That level of worship that you would have for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in like every moment, that's what ihsan is. It's as if you can, although you can't, and know that He can see you. And that comes in, you know, obviously comes in handy in moments like that where you think, I'm alone, no one can see me. You're not trying to think of that. Actually, there was a study recently that you reminded me of, Fayyad, where basically it talks about cheaters. And, you know, when they cheat on their spouse, a lot of them, obviously, they don't think about their spouse when they're in the moment. They try their absolute hardest to forget everything about their life.
Of course.
Their wife or husband, their kids, you know, father and mother-in-law, even work. They try and put everything behind them as if they're living some kind of double life. So if you were to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this moment, then you can't have two. There's going to be a battle. Either you're going to forget Allah or you're going to forget what you want to do and abstain from it. And that is again, it's uncomfortable, bro. It's weird. It feels wrong. It's uncomfortable, but it's something that has to be done. Otherwise, you're just going to fall short.
It's kind of like when we talk about music and you were like, music and Quran can't exist in the same heart.
Yeah.
So you it's really hard to like take something out of your life except that you replace it with something else. Just like Anghel was saying, it kind of links to what you were saying too, that you don't change one thing except you change other things to kind of accommodate for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's facts, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, and what's crazy is I saw this thing where when men do something like this, or when anyone does something that's it's filthy. It's like it's impermissible. Like we shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
Within that moment, like you're basically in a state of disbelief because you're doing something that's like going completely against what you've been told.
You're not pulling the kafir card.
Yeah, I'm
Because
not.
it's
I'm
the
not
state
saying
of
it.
kufr.
I'm not saying it, but it's like this is what I heard. Where it's like you're doing this thing, and you're basically in a state of disbelief while you're doing it. Imagine something happens to you in that state. Imagine you
God
die in
forbid.
that state, bro. Like that. That would be a tragedy. That would be a big tragedy. And like when we're talking about this, like both of you are correct. You know, you should have taqwa. And then you're correct as well, where it's like, you know, when you're getting into that state, like you're about to fall into it, you have the taqwa, and it's like you have to choose between, okay, you know, believing in Allah and like fully pertaining yourself to this, or just forgetting about that and then going to this. And then it's, bro, like any guy who's going through this issue, they know that like when the nafs take over, there is no taqwa.
Yeah.
Bro, it's like they don't care about anything. It's like in Finding Nemo. I said this in like my very first video on YouTube. But it's like I called it the Finding Nemo effect, where you remember the shark, how the shark was like all cool and everything, wanted to like be friends, like fish are friends, not food.
Yeah.
But then it's like when the blue fish Dory had like smacked herself, she had a little bit of blood that like came out, and then the shark smelled it, and his eyes just went black. And then from there, he just turned to like predator attack mode. And it's like, bro, that's what happens to us. Like when our nafs take over, we basically, it's like we're no longer in control. Like we're no longer here. Like we take the back seat, something else is driving. And I don't think this is the time and place for me to like say in detail what Ro Jogan had said.
Ro Jogan?
Yeah. What Ro Jogan has said when he it's like when you're doing the deed, it's like you're driving a bus. Have you guys heard that?
No.
Bro. I'm not gonna say it because it's just
This is haram! Haram!
making light of a situation that shouldn't be made light of. You know, this is serious here.
That's
right?
good then. MashaAllah.
So, again, this is the second part is figuring out what your day-to-day routine is like. Understanding that you can't just change one thing, keep everything the same. Like Ramis said, if at 7 p.m. you are in your bed and you are about to, you know, do something you shouldn't, quit being in your bed at 7 p.m. Like, do something else. Go be with your family. Go be with your friends. Go outside for a walk or something. Like, these are things that you have to change. You have to change your cycle. You have to change your patterns of behavior if you want these changes to stick. Why is this? Because there's two things that can happen. You either put all your attention in trying to get past the old, or you put all your attention in trying to build the new.
Yeah. And I want to actually jump on that point there because a lot of people are going to be like, okay, I'll just get married, right? And although that works for some people, believe it or not, it's not actually a solution. Because what happens to a lot of people, unfortunately, is they end up carrying that issue of whatevering
Addiction,
off, that addiction into their marriage. And now they're watching things, other women on their phone while they're married. That actually happens. And you know, maybe this is too soon to talk about it. Maybe we'll save it for another episode. But it's all fake.
The Prophet ﷺ mentioned that the bridge between belief and disbelief is abandoning salah. If you're struggling with your salah right now, well, we got the perfect solution for you.
And that solution is the Adhan app. This cell phone, we usually have it and it's using us instead of us using it. But with the Adhan app, you can use it in perfect alignment with your life.
The Adhan app is already used by 40 million believers around the world. Why? Because it caters to your Islamic lifestyle. On top of the salat times, you get du'as, dhikr, the Islamic calendar, Ramadan calendar, suhoor and iftar times, Hajj and Umrah guide, Qibla finder, and much more for free.
So download the Adhan app now.